Let's go to Canberra now. Joining us is the Deputy Opposition Leader Sussan Ley. Susan, good to see you. Thanks for your time this morning. So we've seen some restrictions announced in Alice Springs by the Prime Minister last night. Are they enough?
Good morning, Pete. And we have seen some restrictions announced, and no, they're not enough in my view. Local leaders are still calling for more. Remember, these federal grog bans were lapsing in July last year, after the election. And then the Northern Territory changed its rules about access to alcohol in remote communities. And we, as a country, need to do more to support particularly the children of Alice Springs. So while of course I appreciate the Prime Minister's visit, he was there for 4 hours, probably not long enough, wasn't there in the evening, didn't see the violence that happens every night on the streets, didn't see the despair and the desperation that particularly women and children are experiencing, and then announced some measures. But immediately, local people are calling for more. And I think we do need stronger leadership. We do need the Prime Minister to step up and to do more to support this community. OK, well,
just back on who's to blame for stronger future laws. They expired in July last year, but they lapsed under your government. So do you have to accept some blame here?
They expired in July last year. We had a plan to address youth crime in Alice Springs as we went into the election. Every government needs to deal with the situation that it faces, that is in front of it at the time. To point backwards, 8 months, 9 months before an election and blame a previous government is actually ridiculous at this point of time. And to make this short and important trip, yes, but without enough coming out of it is just not good enough. And it isn't the leadership that this country requires from Prime Minister Albanese. The government deals with what it faces. This government is not sensibly and properly dealing with the crisis in Alice Springs today, now.
But the laws lapsed before the new government was able to even meet. So should you have at least been more vocal? Because I don't recall you being that vocal at the time about these alcohol laws possibly being overturned. So should you have been more vocal about that while you were in government?
We've been extremely vocal on behalf of the community as we have seen the situation deteriorate since the election. As we have seen the circumstances that particularly children and young people are facing in Alice Springs, we have been incredibly vocal. And as Peter Dutton said, he visited recently. Many community leaders have approached us and we're listening and we are still listening. The government needs to continue to listen and to take strong action. OK, on the topic of strong action, we had the Mayor of Alice Springs on our program a short time ago. He said this reversal of sorts when it comes to alcohol bans, it doesn't stop kids from wandering on the streets. In some cases, it's safer for those kids to be outside because of domestic violence. The Northern Territory Chief Minister says there's enough police in place, but do you think that there should be more from a federal perspective? Well, the voices that we're not hearing are the voices of the children. There are little children who are being threatened every night. There are young children who are too scared to go home. There are a lot of conversations happening, but where is the action to support these children and the hurt and the pain and the suffering that they experience that will affect them for their whole lives? The sorts of abuse that we know is going on, we know is happening behind closed doors, we know goes on in many homes, and we know is fuelled by alcohol. So we, of course, should work with the community. We, of course, should work with the local policing services. They're there. They're facing the situation every night. They're out, if you like, on the front line. And, of course, we should listen to them.
So would you be arguing for wider booze bans, basically how they were before, plus extra police? What would you be arguing for here?
Well, what has been suggested doesn't seem sufficient because community leaders are saying there will still be the access to alcohol and the opt-out system is not as good as it could be. So access to alcohol and the time of that access and the frequency and the resulting effect, particularly on women and children, is that going to change sufficiently as a result of the announcements yesterday? Of course we wish the community well, and we wish for an improvement. But I don't think it's enough. I don't think it's strong enough leadership, and I don't think it's sufficiently going to remove the rivers of grog that are flowing in Alice Springs and causing such extraordinary damage.
Sussan Ley, we'll leave it there. Appreciate that. Thank you.